Well, I'm showing a little bit of the flakes that I picked up from a couple of videos ago at the area where I found all that basalt. These here are some of the flakes. I found a midsection right here. And this one here looks like it might have been the stem of a tool or a knife, but there's nothing left of it except for that. But I think what I'll do with some of these is, nap them. These are all pretty fine-grained basalt. Another name for basalt is Martis, M-A-R-T-I-S. And I'll do some Martis napping. Make some points. So here's a little glimpse of some of the pieces I picked up. So here are some of the pieces that I've napped so far. This first blade down here on the end it's 5 inches long. This stuff is really hard to nap. It wants to fracture on you and make life difficult. So for this kind of point, it's actually relatively thin, even though it looks kind of thick and chunky. It's relatively thin. There's another one I made. Also relatively thin. Serrated the edges a little bit. There's an inclusion right there. A little bit of cortex. The inclusion cost me a big chunk out of the side of it. I couldn't get rid of it. Big hinge. But that's alright. It's all practice as far as I'm concerned. I'm just practicing. This one right here is my favorite one that I've napped so far. It's a little bit thick. But it's a knife. And it will do the job. One of these days I'll be able to nap one of those big killer blades that are 30 inches long. Until then, just gotta stick with this. This was a nice thin flake here. I napped it up pretty good and made a point out of it. Then I made this guy over here. with lots of serrations. This was a chip. Some cortex left on it. It's hard to dry flakes across. It doesn't want to flake very well. So what you see is what you get. Has a little bit of curve to it, but it's pretty thin for what it's worth. It's pretty thin. And then I have this little guy over here. Chipped up. Pretty thin little piece. Pretty symmetrical. And then this was the tip of a blade that I was making, and it broke, so I turned it into a little triangular point, kind of like the one that Alabama Jones was showing, probably a little bit smaller than his. I got that in comparison to Mr. Indian Head there. Yeah, and that's it for now, you guys. Appreciate your guys' comments and for subscribing and checking it out. Later.